If you like storytime vibes, hit subscribe and let's dive in together.
The night my wife looked me in the eye and said, "I need to find out if big size really matters. You'll never know. Don't worry." My whole world shifted. She smiled when she said it, like it was a joke. But her smile wasn't playful. It was sharp, mocking, almost daring me to react. I didn't shout. I didn't throw anything. I just said one word. Okay. 7 years of marriage, and that single word carried the weight of everything I had built for her. My loyalty, my stability, the home I worked every single day to provide. And in one careless sentence, she reduced it all to nothing. At first, the pain tore through me like fire. My chest burned, my stomach twisted. I wanted to scream, to demand an explanation. But then something inside me shifted. The fire turned cold, hard, sharp. It wasn't just pain anymore, it was clarity. Her words weren't a slip, they weren't a drunken mistake, they were deliberate, a confession dressed up as a taunt. She wanted me to feel small, powerless. She wanted to remind me that she had the freedom to betray me any time she wished. But I am not small, and I do not break. That night, while she laughed with her friends and clinked glasses of wine, I stayed awake. My mind was no longer asking, "Why would she do this to me?" Instead, it whispered, "How will I make her regret it?" The first sign came quickly. She left her phone on the counter, unlocked. A tiny buzz lit up the screen. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. And there it was. "Can't wait for tonight. Bigger is always better. LOL." My stomach dropped. My hands shook, but I forced myself to keep scrolling. Dozens of messages, plans, motel addresses, photos I'll never erase from memory. Each word was another knife in my back. But I didn't cry. Not anymore. Instead, I took screenshots, sent them quietly to my private email. This wasn't about finding proof anymore. This was about building a weapon. From that night forward, I lived 2 lives. To her, I was the same calm, steady husband. I kissed her goodnight. I asked about her day. I even smiled when she dressed up for her so-called girls' nights. But inside, I was sharpening my blade. Step 1. Finances. I rerouted my paycheck to a private account. Changed the passwords she didn't know I knew she used. Slowly, silently, I locked every door she thought she controlled. Step 2. Evidence. Screenshots, receipts, phone records, enough to crush her in any courtroom, enough to strip away every mask she wore. Step 3. Timing. Revenge is wasted in anger. Explosions burn out too quickly. I wanted collapse, slow, inevitable, humiliating. And as she strutted out one Friday night, wearing her little black dress, heels tapping like a countdown, I already knew. She thought she was winning. But the stage was mine. The night came when I decided it was time to strike. I had gathered enough evidence to bury her lies 100 times over. But revenge isn't just about proof. It's about timing. And I wanted her downfall to be unforgettable. That Friday, she slipped into her black dress again. Perfume heavy, lipstick bright red, heels clicking like a countdown to her own execution. She leaned in, kissed me on the cheek as if nothing was wrong. "Don't wait up," she whispered. I smiled back. "Have fun." What she didn't know was that by the time she returned, her whole world would collapse. While she was gone, I made my move. I had called someone earlier that evening. Someone she never thought I would dare involve. Her father. The man she respected, feared disappointing more than anyone. I had sent him everything. The screenshots, the receipts, the late-night messages that spelled out her betrayal in black and white. He arrived just before she came home. His face was stone, his hands clenched. "Show me," he said simply. I handed him the printed folder, Page after page of her lies stared back at him. His silence was heavier than any curse. And then we waited. At midnight, her car pulled into the driveway. She walked up the steps, humming, swinging her purse like a woman who believed her secret life was safe. She slid her key into the lock, but the door wouldn't open. I had already changed it. She knocked, confused, then annoyed. I opened the door, and there I stood, calm, collected, with her father by my side. The moment her eyes landed on him, her face drained of color. Her smile collapsed. She froze in the doorway like a thief caught mid-act. "Dad?" Her voice cracked. He didn't answer. He simply placed the folder on the table. The sound echoed like a gunshot in the silence of the room. "Care to explain?" He finally asked, his voice low, steady, dangerous. She stuttered, her lips trembling, mascara already smudging. It's not what it looks like." Her father slammed a hand against the table. "Don't lie to me." His eyes burned into her, a mix of anger and heartbreak. She turned to me then, desperate, reaching out. "Please, let me explain. You don't understand." But I just looked at her. No yelling, no begging, just silence. And that silence screamed louder than any words I could ever say. Her father stepped closer, his disappointment like a weight pressing the air out of the room. She had always been his pride, the daughter he bragged about. And now she was exposed, stripped of dignity, respect, and the image she clung to so tightly. I watched her crumble right there in the doorway of the home she no longer had a key to. Tears smeared her makeup. Her knees buckled. For the first time she looked small. And I knew. The collapse had begun. The days that followed were a blur, but not for me. For her. I had already planned every step. The very next morning, I filed for divorce. My lawyer received every screenshot, every receipt, every record neatly organized. There would be no arguments, no excuses. She was guilty, and I had the proof. Her father didn't speak to her for days. When he finally did, it was short, brutal, and final. "You're cut off," he told her. The allowance he had always given, gone. The financial safety net she had relied on all her life, gone. She was left standing in an empty apartment, staring at bills she had no way of paying. Her friends, the same ones she bragged to about her so-called freedom, disappeared one by one. Betrayal spreads faster than perfume. Nobody wanted to be seen beside her anymore. The man she cheated with? Gone, too. He had no interest in a woman drowning in consequences. I watched from a distance, not with glee, but with the cold satisfaction of justice. This wasn't about destroying her. It was about setting myself free. When we finally stood across from each other in the courthouse, she looked like a ghost of the woman I once knew. Her makeup couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes. Her hands trembled as she tried to sign the papers. She whispered, "Please, can't we fix this? I'll change." I leaned forward just enough for her to hear me clearly. "You already changed. You just didn't think I would." For the first time she had no response, only silence. The judge looked at the evidence, at her, at me. It didn't take long. The divorce was finalized, assets secured, my future untangled from her poison. As I walked out of that courthouse, the air felt different, cleaner, lighter. I wasn't carrying the weight of her lies anymore. And that night, alone in my own apartment, I realized something important. She thought size mattered. She thought betrayal made her powerful, that secrets made her untouchable. But in the end, it wasn't about size at all. It was about strength, the strength to endure, to stay silent when silence was louder than rage, to build a plan instead of breaking down. Revenge wasn't about hurting her. It was about reminding myself who I was. I was never small. I was never weak. I was always more than she could handle. And as I closed that final door on her chapter of my life, I understood the lesson. Marriage is built on respect, loyalty, and trust. Break those, and no love in the world can hold it together. Betrayal may bring thrills, but it always leaves ruins. I walked away with my dignity. She was left with nothing but the ashes of the life she burned. And that was justice.